Yeah. Tell her good luck. Yeah. Tell her I hit fourth place in a 4.0 this weekend. Ah, that's great. Well, this is not a tournament. This is a place where they built 55 public courts, and the only stipulation, if you want to go on certain courts, you have to pay to get evaluated. And if they deem that you're good enough to play on those courts, then you get to play there. And you get to, so I had to fill out, I had to pay $70 in advance, and they're gonna do to see if I get to play the 4.0 courts. Because if you're going to go there to play all the way down there, you don't want to play against people that aren't going to make it back. So yeah. Oh, it's the best. I never did. Never heard of it. We did badminton in my high school. Yeah, badminton was fun. We look into
So good evening, Happy New Year to all. The time is now 7:06, and we are calling the meeting to order. We're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. For me, you all rise. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Reading of the meeting notice. The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have an advance notice and to attend the meetings for public bodies at which any business affecting these interests is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provision of the Act, the Verona Board of Education has caused notice of this meetings to be published in the Star Ledger, posted in the Township of Verona and in the Verona Education Association. Postings of this meeting set forth the time, location, agenda were posted at the Verona Board of Education office and the Verona Public Schools District website. Copies of tonight's agenda resolutions has been made available to the public via the Board of Ed website. At this time, I would like to read the results of the annual school elections for November 7th, 2023. This is for the 1 3-year term. The candidates, the first candidate, Mike Boone, for the 2026 term, total votes of 2,140. Second candidate, Dominic Ferry, with 1,148. Officially, we congratulate Mr. Mike Boone joining us tonight. And at this time, I would like to invite Mr. Boone to the podium for his official oath of office.
I,
state your name.
Michael Boone,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and I will bear true faith
and I will bear true faith
and allegiance to the same
and allegiance to the same
and to the governments established in the United States
and to the governments established in the United States
and this state
and this state
under the authority of the people.
under the authority of the people.
So help me God.
So help me God.
I state your name.
I, Michael Boone,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I possess the qualifications prescribed by the law
that I possess the qualifications as prescribed by law
for the office of member of Board of Education,
for the office of the Board of Education,
and that I am not disqualified as a voter
and that I am not disqualified as a voter
pursuant to RS
pursuant to RS
19-4-1,
19-4-1,
nor disqualified due to conviction of a crime
nor disqualified due to a conviction of a crime
or offense listed in
or an offense listed in
NJS
NJS
18A
18A
12-1,
12-1,
and that I will faithfully,
and that I will faithfully
impartially,
and impartially
and justly perform all duties
and justly perform all duties
of that office according to the best of my ability. So help me God.
to that office according to the best of my ability. So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Right. Congrats again, Mr. Boone. At this time, now that we have all five board members present, we will do roll call. Mr. Walker. Mrs. Rosella,
Here.
Mrs. Farrar,
Here.
Mrs. Prisco,
Here.
Mr. Boone.
Here.
We have quorum. Thank you. At this time, we're going to move on the nominations and election of the board president. I need a motion to nominate a nomination and then a motion.
I nominate Commissioner Prisco.
Are there any other nominations? Okay, seeing that it's none, we're going to move forward with a motion. In a second. Second. Damn. Okay. And we'll do the roll call for the vote. Mr. Walker,
Yes.
Mrs. Rosella,
Yes.
Mrs. Farrar,
Yes.
Mrs. Prisco,
Yes.
Mr. Boone.
Yes.
Motion carries. Congratulations, Ms. Prisco.
Thank you.
Turn it over to our board president.
Thank you. Moving on, I would like to have a motion, please, to nominate a vice president for the Verona Board of Education.
So I've enjoyed serving as a vice president under Pam's leadership. And while I can only speak for myself, I feel as though we have a wonderful collaborative working relationship as a board. And so I'd like to nominate Ms. Frizella as VP so that she too can have an opportunity to serve in a leadership role. So I nominate Ms. Frizella.
I need a second. I'll second that. Mr. Cruz, if you could please call a roll for. Oh, are there any other nominations for vice president? I'm sorry. Seeing none. Mr. Cruz, if you could please call roll.
Yes.
Mrs. Frizella,
Yes.
Mrs. Farrar,
Yes.
Mrs. Prisco,
Yes,
Mr. Boone.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
great. Thank you. Congratulations, Denise. And thank you, Diana, for serving. All right, now. So I just. We're going to need a motion to approve all our appointments for committees, our negotiations committee, our board delegate, let's see, all our reorganizations. So I need a motion to approve, I guess, 4, 5, 6. Where did we go? Hold on. Sorry about that. There's a
Believe the last number there is 29.
Thank you, Reese. Thank you, Reese. 4 through 29. I need a motion to approve.
And I'll second.
Okay.
Motion by Mrs. Ferrara, seconded by Mrs. Frizella. Are there any discussions? Seeing none, Mr. Cruz, if you could please call roll.
Sure. Mr. Walker?
Yes.
Mrs. Frizella,
Yes.
Mrs. Prisco,
Yes.
and Mr. Boone.
Yes.
Thank you. And Mrs. Ferrara.
And Mrs. Farrar.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Sorry about that.
They brought you down
Skip.
quick.
Yeah,
All
motion
right.
carries. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to our regular agenda for the evening. We would like to call up our athletic director, Mrs. Laura Pomerezi. She is going to do a full sports recap, and we also are here with our volleyball team. So thank you, Laura.
Good evening, everyone. Happy New Year. I'm excited for another amazing year in Verona athletics. I'm just going to do a fall recap and then call up our amazing volleyball team that's here with us tonight. First, we're going to start off with girls soccer. Girls soccer competed in the highly competitive American division. They finished with a record of 6-10-2 and made it to the semifinal round of the state tournament. The girls soccer American division first team was Victoria Niziolek and Sam Rizzi. Second team was Alexa Polanco and Emerson Garrett. Honorable mention was Noella Newman and Hayden Garrett. Football was 2-3 in the American Gold Division and 2-8 overall. The team had a nice win early in the season over Madison. The team qualified for the state tournament. Kieran Patel was the recipient of the SFC Young Man of the Year award. First team offense went to Shane Costigan and Zach Garmont. First team defense went to Bodie Mazzano. First team special teams, Kieran Patel. Second team offense, Aiden Cifaretto and Connor Damasi, and honorable mention, Ethan Fursh. Zach Garmont also received NJ.com first team all group 1 offense and Kieran Patel third team all group 1 defense. Boys soccer finished the season 6-8-2, 3-4 in the Liberty division, and advanced to the quarterfinal round of the state tournament. First team went to Brian Cleaver and Joey Farmer. Second team, Riley Ying, and honorable mention, Patrick Mann and Leo Andrade. The VHS cheerleading program had a very successful season with a team of 45 cheerleaders. During the season, the girls wowed the crowd weekly with their sideline cheers, advanced stunts, and show-stopping halftime routine. A highlight of the season was at the Foley Field Breast Cancer Showcase. The girls walked away winning for the second year in a row for Best Stunt. The VHS cheerleaders were also proud of the long-standing breast cancer showcase here at Verona High School that featured all Verona cheerleaders raising $5,000 for Manette's Angels. Field hockey finished the season 10-8-1, 4-1-1 in the S6 Union Blue Division, and they made it to the first round of the state tournament. All conference went to first team Jane Sorger, Caitlin Scalfo, and Taylor McLean. Second team, Bella Maglafiore, Danny Imbriano, and Ellie Gingo. Honorable mention was Gwen Neely and Sophia Simone. Girls cross country came in third place out of 12 teams in the Liberty Division Championships. First team was Shay Haggerty. Second team, Lauren Chupek and Nadia Pietro. Honorable mention, Elin Atal and Kylie Haggerty. Girls tennis had an overall record of 10-10. They were the number 4 ranked team in Group 1 in New Jersey. Evelyn Cogan was first team, Margot DaCosta, second team, Shayna Cogan, second team, and Alex Derderian and Brielle Marchese were honorable mention and second team all Group 1. Boys cross country took fourth place at the Essex County Championships. They were third place at NJSIA sectionals North 2 Group 1 and advanced to the Group 1 championships. Seniors Chris Sluck improved his PR by 78 seconds this season, running a personal best 17:42. Ian Zalewski, who is one of Verona High School's all-time great distance runners, improved his prior season PR by 3 seconds to 16:08, while advancing all the way to the NJSIAA cross-country meet of champions, where he competed with the most elite of New Jersey's racers at Homedale. Ian was SEC American Division and Essex County cross-country champion. And now I'd like to call up the girls volleyball team. While I read all their amazing accolades this season. The girls volleyball team, who many of them are here with us tonight to be recognized, had a fantastic season, never being outside of the state's top 20 rankings all season long. The team finished the season ranked number 16 in the entire state with the record of 25-4. The girls were Essex County runner-ups, conference champions, state sectional champions for the fourth consecutive season, and Group 1 champions for the second time in program history. Also, the team had 5 girls named into the all Group 1 team, including 4 girls on the first team: Katie Meehan, Kendra Santos, Marley Kramer, and Emily Theobald. Sophomore Jessica Theobald received third team all Group 1. Also, Marley Kramer was named third team All-State, which is one of the top 24 players in the entire state of New Jersey. I know many of us miss watching this team play and the excitement they brought to Verona Athletics this year. I'm so proud of all of you. And let's not forget Coach Ryan Brown, who was named Essex County Coach of the Year. We'd like to give out our certificates for our sectional and state champions. Cara DeMars. Marley Kramer. Katie Meehan. Kendra Santos. Emily Theobald. Olivia Boris. Abby Donnelly. Abby Romanishin. Congratulations again to our volleyball team and Coach Ryan Brown on a phenomenal season. Thank you, everyone.
Fantastic. Thank you. And thank you, Mrs. Pomerese. And Coach Ryan, congratulations. And to you girls, I went to several of your games and went down to Franklin. And that was so every time I was watching you play, you girls were just amazing. And your composure and just amazing to see you out there. So congratulations to all of you, and Coach Ryan, congratulations on the birth of your new baby, and cheers to 2024. Thank you. Moving on, we are going to go into our superintendent report by Ms. Di Giuseppe.
Good evening. I want to start by once again highlighting the talent of our students. The holiday concerts that I was able to get to, because some of them are at the same time, unfortunately, were just amazing. From the FM Brown concert, where Mr. Morden has those kids in their first and second year with an instrument playing solos. It really is just unbelievably heartwarming. And I do need to say that Santa Claus did show up to direct the high school band, and he lost his belt. He was very enthusiastic. It was great. I'm so glad I have that all on film. It was really great. They did sleigh ride though. I mean, I've never heard a high school band play sleigh ride the way these kids played it. It's amazing. And Mr. Flood's first showing as a high school choir teacher here in Verona, they were phenomenal as well. I unfortunately did not get to see our middle school. They're on my list for the spring concert. I can't wait to see them as well. Just two other short legislative things that I just wanted the board to be aware of. So last year, in January, we spoke about a Senate Bill 1221 that was being bantered around in both the Senate and the House, actually, and it established a program by which we are to provide free menstrual products in at least 50% of our girls and gender neutral bathrooms in public schools. And it does require the state to pay costs. So this is starting in 24-25 September. We have the materials and we have the baskets. We're going to start this year because it really is something that's long overdue. So that was signed into law and goes into effect in September 2024. The next bill is kind of strange in that they're pushing it through lame duck. It is a bill that is supported by the NJEA. It's the only education association that supports it. It is not being supported by school boards, ASA, PSA, Garden State Coalition of the Schools. And I think everybody that's talking about it realizes it's about teacher evaluation, that it's been 12 years since the Teach New Jersey legislation was enacted as the Achieve NJ law. And it's time that we start talking about change. However, the changes that are being suggested do little to alleviate some of the burdens of the paperwork that are mentioned in the bill. So what it seeks to do is have teachers only be teachers that are effective or highly effective are only evaluated summatively every 3 years. So yeah, I'm not sure why anybody would do that in any industry, but that's basically what's being proposed. And the problems that we see as organizations is that the bill addresses a relatively small portion of that larger legislation. And it's muddy. It seeks to make changes, but doesn't define it properly. And if it goes through as is, will create more problems for the Department of Ed to provide guidance to school districts and become more confusing than it will be clarifying. I've been doing this this is my 11th year as a superintendent, another 13 as a district administrator. Read a lot of summative evaluations. I've written a lot of summative evaluations, and depending on where you are, they're either meaningless or not meaningless. So to legislate that we don't need them really should be, I think it should be a local decision. I understand that they're trying to make it consistent, but right now in many districts, summative evaluations really are only about this is your score, because the meat of where teachers improve is in specific targeted feedback and observations. So I understand they want to get rid of this like extra paperwork, which is seen as really just something for districts to check off for CUSAC, and it's not really meaningful. And I would say it's meaningful if you make it meaningful. And that's the difference. They are talking about getting rid of student growth objectives and student growth percentiles. I don't know how they're going to do that. I do know that SGOs 12 years ago led to really much more deeply aligned conversations about what student data was. I'm not sure anywhere in the state that they're being used as the grassroots efforts to move student achievement. So is it time that we look at something else? It quite possibly could be, but pushing something through in a lame duck session is not the way to do it. So if you would like to, take a stand with your legislators, our teachers deserve better than pushing something through a lame duck just to get it through. It's just my little 2 cents on that one.
If I may ask,
Sure.
Once we come out of the lame duck session, what are the chances that there could be some amendments over the coming term, and what would that look like?
Last year, I would have said there's no chance they're going to push it through, but there's been more than a little pushback and some very strong testimony to the State Board of Education and I'm sorry, not just the State Board of Education, in these legislative committees, the Education Senate Education Committee as well. I think if they allow the people that are involved in doing this, the input into those amendments, it can be very valuable legislation coming on the other end of it. It's just a matter of who's in charge. And right now, it looks like it's NJEA pushing really hard to get this through. There's another bill that they're trying to get passed too, and it limits the ability of school districts to offer virtual education, which I don't know the specifics of that bill. Haven't read the whole thing yet. But there are concerns that in some cases we've not had this, where you have a teacher shortage and that you can provide online learning to kids. It's better than a day sub that's not teaching anything. But I'm not going to comment more than that's a bill that's pending at the same time. So hopefully there'll be a lot of ability for actual educators to put their 2 cents into an education bill. That doesn't seem to happen at the State Department, and not the Department of Ed, actually, in the Assembly and Senate, State Senate. And that's, this is a reorg meeting. We generally don't even have a session afterwards, so I'm going to turn it over to Reese.
And ooh, that was loud. Just to clarify, for the menstrual products bill, when you say that's going in this year, do you mean like during 23-24 school year, 24-25?
It's mandated to start in 24-25. We're going to start it as soon as they get out into the bathrooms. We ordered the baskets already for the products. Right now, we still provide free products to students. They just have to go to the nurse's office to get it, which is inconvenient and unnecessary. Yeah. So they'll just be in small baskets, a choice of various products in the girls' bathrooms and the gender neutral bathroom.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. Yes, same deal here. Just a couple of quick points. First of all, thank you to the students, staff, and teams that made the winter pep rally a success during last day of the first session. The student council is looking forward to hosting the last pep rally this spring. So thank you to the band, the cheerleading team, and all of the sports teams this year. It was a really it's always a good group effort, and also staff that participates. Also like to say good luck to the DECA team at their regional competition at Keene University on January 4th. This will be one of the earlier competitions in their session, leading up to states and then nationals later in the year. And January 11th, 9th and 10th graders who are enrolled in either Algebra 1 or Geometry will participate in map testing, so that is on the horizon as well. And that's it for me.
Thank you, Reese. Does anyone have any questions or comments? Moving on.
Oh, one more thing that I should mention, because we don't have a meeting until the 23rd, right? Inclusive Schools Week, January 22nd starts with our the 5 different days that we're going to be addressing different inclusive topics. And I just want to publicly thank the folks at Child who are making this doable, because it's a lot for our teachers to prepare. So they do a tremendous amount of work in the background for our teachers so that they can just roll it out.
Thank you. Moving on, we're going to open up the podium to public comments on agenda action items only. So this is anything that we're voting on for resolutions. If anyone has anything to say, please come up to the podium, and you have 3 minutes, and just state your name. Seeing none, we are going to move on to our resolutions. I need a motion, please, to approve Resolution A for routine matters.
So moved.
Motion by Mrs. Rosella, seconded by
Second.
Mrs. Ferrara. Are there any discussions? Mr. Cruz, can you please call roll?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sure.
On A1, can I even vote on that?
16.
Yeah. Thank you.
What's the minutes?
We can still vote on it. He's
Well, you were at the
he's
meeting,
voting that
yeah.
they occurred. That's all.
And that the minutes were accurate and you were at the meeting, so you
were
would
at
be
the
able to comment.
Yeah.
If you feel like.
Right.
Mr. Walker,
So I wasn't at that meeting, but I will vote yes.
Mrs. Frizella,
Yes.
Mrs. Farrar,
Yes.
Mrs. Prisco,
Yes,
Mr. Boone.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Thank you.
thank you. Moving on to our resolutions for personnel. I need a motion, please, to approve resolutions B1 through B3. Motion by Mrs. Ferrara, seconded by Mrs. Rosella. Are there any discussions? Seeing none, Mr. Cruz, if you could please call roll.
Mr. Walker,
Yes.
Mrs. Frizella,
Yes.
Mrs. Farrar,
Yes.
Mrs. Prisco,
Yes,
Mr. Boone.
Yes.
Motion carries.
thank you. Moving on to our education resolutions, I need a motion to approve resolutions C1 through C6. Motion by
I'll move.
Mrs. Rosella, seconded by, I'll second that. Okay. Any discussions? Seeing,
I think it's real exciting about the robotics club. I know we talked about that a couple weeks back. And I just think this is a great signal to the community.
thank you. Mr. Cruz, if you could please call roll.
Sure. Mr. Walker,
Yes.
Mrs. Frizella,
Yes.
Mrs. Farrar,
Yes.
Mrs. Prisco,
Yes,
Mr. Boone.
Yes.
Motion carries.
thank you. Moving on to our athletics and co-curricular resolutions, I need a motion to approve resolution D1. Motion by Mr. Waka, seconded by
A second.
Mrs. Ferrara. Are there any discussions? Seeing
Yeah.
none? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I'm just curious. So when it, for all sports in addition to recruiting tool for athletes, so is that just all like filmed at VHS, like all home games, or like logistically, how would that work out?
I think it's for, well, it's for every sport. I saw the contract. I think it's for all of their, yeah, all their, Yeah.
Excellent, thank you.
you're welcome. Mr. Cruz, if you could please call roll.
Mr. Walker,
Yes.
Mrs. Frizella,
Yes.
Mrs. Farrar,
Yes.
Mrs. Prisco,
Yes,
Mr. Boone.
I'd like to abstain. I don't feel like I know enough about this one.
thank you.
Motion carries. Thank you.
There are no resolutions for facilities. Moving on to resolutions for finance, I need a motion, please, to approve resolutions F1 through F2. Motion by
I'll move it.
Mrs. Rosella, seconded. I will second that. Are there any discussions? None? Mr. Cruz, if you could please call roll.
Yes.
Mrs. Frizella,
Yes.
Mrs. Farrar,
Yes.
Mrs. Prisco,
Yes,
Mr. Boone.
Yes.
great.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you. And just moving on to our governance and policy, we have one resolution to approve, Resolution G1. I need a motion to approve Resolution G1. Motion
So
by
moved.
Mrs. Ferrara, seconded by, I will second that one. Are there any discussions? Mr. Cruz, if you could please call roll.
Mr. Walker,
Yes.
Mrs. Frizella,
Yes.
Mrs. Farrar,
Yes.
Mrs. Prisco,
Yes,
Mr. Boone.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
thank you. Now we're at the portion of the meeting for public comments on any items. You have 3 minutes. Please state your name. And please come to the podium if you have anything to say.
How are you? Steve Cruz. I have a question. Obviously, I came to the last meeting. You guys were all professional. But I have a little bit of a concern in reference to the incidents that were occurring at the middle school with the gentleman, with a 30-plus-year-old gentleman. And the fact that there was what I feel is lack of notification to the parents and to the public. I mean, what occurred, it's not a little incident. He was arrested, which is an indictable offense. It goes to the county court. It doesn't go to our local Judge would be Joseph Angelo. And I think that parents and town should be aware of that. It's not a simple little incident of a small summons or something that just being held at a
It
local
was,
level.
it's a misdemeanor,
Uh,
criminal trespass in this case,
under the law,
under whatever statute there's 4 different levels of trespass.
right?
In this case, it was a criminal misdemeanor.
Okay. But it went down to the county?
It did not get picked up by the county.
Okay,
They chose not to prosecute.
all right. My question is, why wouldn't we have shared more information about it?
Um, so it was shared as soon as Mr. Galbachek felt that it was time to share.
Right.
First offense, first time the person came to the building.
Right.
I mean, I've put stuff out about this, so twice. They came to visit a staff member. There's nothing alarming about that.
Right.
Second time, they were told, we don't accept visitors into our buildings anymore. It's a different time. Third time, person came back. We put something out to parents. So I'm not quite sure how much faster. I mean, it was over a 3-day period. It wasn't really,
Well, my question is because it's contradicting to what I've read in the emails I've read from, I believe, yourself to other parents, that the email read that the second time VPD went to his house and notified him, which is appropriate under the
Right,
law.
right.
2 or more makes it a
Right.
criminal trespassing, and that the third time he was arrested.
The third time, the person was arrested because they came back after they were told they could not be on property.
Correct. Right.
Right.
But my question is, the email went out telling all the parents that as of Monday, you'll have police presence, right? So as a retired police officer, 28 years and manning the Belleville school system, and this was my thing every day, like make sure there's an officer at every school, rotate it,
Right.
cars under the climate we live in now.
Mhm.
I just thought it would be a little more appropriate to show a little more information than having to wait 2 weeks to find out more stuff. And then you get parents, obviously the gossip of one parent says one thing, the other says another thing.
Right.
Now
I can't
kids are
control what
scared.
people, I can't control the gossip.
No, absolutely. And you're 100% right about that. And I agree with you. But my question was, I just thought that a little more information should have been shared because it would alleviate a lot of questions or a lot of misguiding or some kids feeling awkward.
Well, thank you for your advice.
Okay, good evening. My name is Kristen Kistner, and I've been a Verona resident for the past 15 years. I have 3 children, Ethan in grade 7, Mason in grade 5, both at HBW, and also Sophia, who is in kindergarten at FM Brown. I'm here tonight to also share my concerns regarding the recent safety issues at HBW. On Friday, December 8th, parents did receive an important update informing us of an individual making several attempts to access the building. This message consisted of a total of 4 sentences and would be considered vague at best. As a result, I sent an email on Saturday, December 9th, asking for clarification regarding these concerning events. Only after multiple emails, phone calls taking place over nearly 10 days. And this is with our principal, superintendent, chief of police, and our Board of Ed president, Pam, where parents finally provided the details of these events. So the email that went out, I thank you, but that was the email that should have gone out in the first place. This individual not only attempted access, but gained access on 3 separate days to our children's school building. As a public school educator for the past 20 years, I was absolutely outraged and shocked to see the lack of communication both within the school as well as with the parents regarding these serious incidents. Furthermore, it was even more concerning to learn about the lack of safety training and support provided for our students and staff. We must do better as a district to ensure the safety of our students and our staff We need to be more proactive and less reactive. While resources may be limited in our small district, we do have many community members ready and willing to help, but we need our leaders to take the initiative to facilitate this change. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Kizner. Is there anyone else that has any comments? Okay, seeing, let me just go back to my notes, end of the. Okay, I need a motion, please, to adjourn our meeting. Our next meeting will be on Tuesday, January 23rd, 2024. 6 p.m. will be confidential with 7 p.m. public session. And I need a motion to adjourn. Motion by Mrs. Ferrara. Seconded by
I'll second.
this, motion by Mrs. Ferrara, seconded by Mrs. Virzella. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It is 7:45 and we will adjourn the meeting. Thank you. Happy